To be human is to know loss in its many forms. This is a quote from one of the first lines of the book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, written by Francis Weller. The book in its entirety is about, in his own words, grief, about its many moods and movements, shapes and textures. It is about how sorrow carves riverbeds into our souls, deepening us as it flows in and out of our lives. The book itself is quite bleak, with it being a profound exploration of grief in its many forms. Weller does not offer any easy, comfortable, or quick solutions. Instead, he shows readers the raw, uncomfortable truths of sorrow. Yet, within that bleakness, he suggests there is beauty, meaning, and even the possibility of renewal. He says grief is not a problem to be solved, but as a necessary part of what it means to be human. Firewatch is a game about a man running away from loss and grief. In the opening cutscene, we see the backstory of Henry, how he meets Julia by chance in a bar, and how their relationships blossom into something beautiful. But Julia is then diagnosed with early onset dementia. Her condition gets progressively worse. Julia begins to forget who Henry is. She forgets their dog. She forgets the life she had with Henry. Julia may not be dead, but the Julia Henry knew and loved is essentially gone. The only reason he takes the job as a fire lookout is to try and get over the loss of Julia. Just like how Julia entered Henry's life on accident, Have a Nice Dream accidentally came into mine. I was searching for a game which had recently left Game Pass, Have a Nice Death, and through a misclick I stumbled upon this masterpiece of an experience. And much like The Wild Edge of Sorrow and Firewatch, loss is masterfully shown and explored, and most importantly, it helps teach the player how to move on from it. Now, before you listen to me gush about this game, you should play it for yourself. It's free, and it's an under 2-hour experience. Hey? Can you hear me? You need to get out of here. These are the first words that you see upon starting up Have a Nice Dream. And what needs to be noted here is the text color, a bright red. Throughout the entire game, color is used with great intentionality, and this red text becomes increasingly important as the game goes on. After seeing this message, we are then woken up in what we can presume to be our bedroom, which is an overly bright pink, almost artificial, which heavily contrasts the two characters, both of which are colored in monochrome. We are then promptly questioned by this man on how our sleep was, and then on what food we'd like, with two answers, both being the exact same, bear-shaped cookies. Getting out of bed, everything seems a bit off, with a giant teddy bear, a flower several times larger than a character, and a locked cabinet. You can interact with all three previously mentioned. The bear, which our character calls cute, but you must think so too. A cabinet, which there is no need in opening right now, and the massive potted plant, so the room doesn't look too dull. It's cozy, but it's also wrong. Going out the door to the right, you can see a cat, which serves as this game's save system, and he tells us to get out of here, again in the red text. But then it quickly backtracks, almost like someone else was speaking. Walking down the corridor, you'll either see the text, "If you're hungry, grab some food from the kitchen," or "Stay home, I'll buy you bear-shaped cookies," scrawled on the wall. Entering the main area of the house, there's 3 doors. One is locked, one goes to the kitchen, and the other seems to be the front door. But trying to progress through the front door, we get stuck in a loop of identical hallways before being questioned on our actions by the man who woke us up. He then eventually asks if we want to leave. But here, again, 2 actions. But here the red text returns, as if it's trying to get us to get out of here. But selecting yes just results in us being teleported back to your bedroom. Looking around the rest of the main room, there's only one thing you can interact with, the TV. And on interacting with it, we're told there's nothing here, again with the red text. If you listen to the writing on the wall and go to the kitchen, there's a knife on the counter, which upon interacting with, the red text returns, saying to take it. The red text tells you you can use it to cut fluffy things. Remembering the teddy bear in your room is fluffy, you return to your bedroom and interact with the bear. You cut off its arm and a key falls out, But then the red text comes back and says, "Who took away your knife?" Almost like some higher power took it from your grasp. This key unlocks the previously mentioned locked door, but this door brings us to another room, which continues the tradition of this house having strange happenings, as it seems to go outside. As said by our character, it looks much more like a park. And well, at the very top of the room, there's a tree with a swing. Interacting with it, you just get 3 red dots. This park is one big puzzle, which is not overly difficult. You just need to be able to count fish, and nothing overly important happens here, until you grab the bear, which was the goal of the puzzle. Once you pick up the bear, the music cuts, and the sign which previously gave you information, which helped the player with the puzzle, asks, "Where are you taking it?" Interacting with the save cat in the middle of the park, it tells us to put the bear on the swing. Again, 2 options, the red and the white. The door's open now. Upon going through the door, we get stopped by a hooded figure, who explains to us that they are the red text guy. They've been helping us in secret. They explain if we don't escape, we will be trapped in this world forever. We also get informed that there is a gun in the basement, which is just straight on and to the left. Do you really believe what that person said? This is quite an important exchange between these 2 characters, as now we have confirmation the red text is a person, and they have been like a divine deity, helping guide us on our journey. This helps reinforce what happened in the puzzle section I skipped over. During the puzzle, the red text would help you with some of the more out there answers. We have no reason not to believe them, but this doesn't fully make sense, as why does the red text show up at the start? And when interacting with the TV, what do they have to hide? But we really don't have time to worry about that, because we're back in our bedroom and we're not alone. Why? Why is this happening? This is the worst set piece in the entirety of the game. We get some amazing character interactions, but it takes place in a maze in which I spent more time in than the rest of the game on my first playthrough. But during this maze, we are confronted by the man who woke us up on how weird we are acting today, and how we're trying to escape. He questions why, and finally coming to the realization she's being controlled. Someone is pressing the arrow keys, making you move. They're helping you escape, aren't they? This really caught me off guard on my first playthrough, as this entire time, he's not been talking to us, the actual player, but the girl herself. We are a different character to the girl. This isn't an instant where we are the character playing the video game. We are just the puppeteers, stringing along this character for our own enjoyment. The man calls this world our paradise, while questioning us if this is truly what we want. The red text returns and tells us not to listen to him. Are we even doing the right thing? Finishing the maze, we enter a hallway with one object at the end of it, a gun. After the gun disappears, we see the man who woke us up pointing it at the red text character, and he asks if this is the person who's been leading us on, but he knows that they are not the person controlling her. He again questions us if the red text character wants us to leave this world. He says we can't leave, and he asks if we know what will happen if we leave. He backtracks and says he won't let us find out, and then he says maybe we like being controlled. Then he asks if that's what we want. The choice truly was never yours. One thing I find really interesting about this game is how, as I previously mentioned, color is extremely important. Red is used exclusively in relation to the red text guy, but the girl and the man have both white text, so it's difficult to tell when one is speaking. This is an extremely good tactic in games like this, as in a similar game, Who's Lila, when the main character speaks, he doesn't have a name tag above his head, which leaves it up to interpretation whether it's Will or Lila in charge at any one moment. As you have most likely noticed, we are back in our bedroom, but if you try to exit through the door, it's locked, and talking to the save cat, we're indirectly contacted again by the man, talking down to our character like she's a child. Walking around and looking for a way to escape, nothing comes up, but if you interact with the door again, there is a key in the cabinet. Interacting with the cabinet, the red text character explains that they cannot be killed by the man. They express their surprise that he even shot them, and then they reinforce that we have to leave, no matter what he says. Then we obtain the key. This is another maze, yeah, but instead of there being interesting lore reveals, it's just an annoying maze, with many of these copies of the man who woke us up, who you can't walk into or you'll fail the maze, teleporting you back to the start. Exiting the maze, you enter another puzzle room, with more copies trying to stop you. Again, nothing interesting happens in the sequence. Well, that's until you finish it. Walking through the hallway, we get stopped by him again. Threatening our character with the gun, he questions whether we want to keep struggling, and once again, the illusion of choice. But this time, neither idea is your own, being puppeteered by the red text. In an attempt to try and stop us, he shoots. But the bullet is taken by the red text guy, and we're told to progress through to the next room. Talking to the red text guy, they say, we must be wondering who they are, why they're doing all this for us, and why bullets have no effect on them. And as usual, we don't get any answers. But what we do get is more reinforcing. We need to leave. But something seems different. The red text guy seems desperate, saying how, if he gets in our way again, we have to kill him, and how it's the only solution. But here, something quite interesting is said. Red says that they won't let him hurt us, but that he doesn't want to. This confirms, even after all the times we've tried to escape, he still cares for us. But then we're told there's another gun in the kitchen. We enter the kitchen through a hallway that previously did not exist. Grabbing the gun, we exit the kitchen, entering an ethereal hallway with an infinitely repeating picture of this man on a swing. He talks to our character, now certain someone is controlling her. He questions why someone is coming between them. This world was only meant to belong to them. We are intruding on this realm. He then questions us, the player, on who we are. He knows that we are just controlling her from beyond a screen. He questions again on why we are doing this, on why we were intruding on their perfect world. He questions us on whether we can really escape. Then, almost proving we can't, he states everything is under his control. The graphics, the code, everything. Much like Doki Doki or Undertale, he knows he's in a video game. And much like Monika in Doki Doki, he's in control. Continuing on, he switches between talking to the player and to our character, telling her she's a pawn and is being strung along by the player's actions. After a bit more of this, he finally caves, telling us he'll tell us the truth. All we have to do is walk through a door. This is the you who left this house. This is where that you ended. The girl we've been playing as this entire time is called Yui. After her death, he created this world for her soul to live in, where they could be together forever. There are no goodbyes. There is no old age, disease, or death in this fantasy world. They lived here happily until we showed up. He continues to ask questions on why we had to deserve them, even if this world isn't real. The screen fades from black to show the man on his hands and knees, with Yui standing in front of him, as if he was begging to her. But we don't have much time to think about this, as Red shows up, and well, Red tells us she has the truth. The real truth. One year ago, Yui died in a car accident, and to see his loved one again, he made a deal with death. He sacrificed his body to get her soul back. Death, in return, created this dream world. This, in turn, left his real body in a coma. He will only ever wake up if her soul leaves this world. But she can't leave. She's just a puppet. She realized we need to become the puppeteer and control her body to leave this fictional realm. For how much she loves him, she wants him to move on, for him to live his life to the fullest. The whole reason we've been strung along this entire game is because she doesn't want him to give up everything just for her. He can't live in the past. He needs to grow up and move on. While in this dream, she felt like a puppet, swaying in the wind. Even if she was a puppet, even if she couldn't feel anything, she could tell he was happy. She was happy too. She wants him to live a long, beautiful life, even if she won't be able to see it. This is the ending she wants. But it's not her decision. It's ours. Standing in front of the exit door, it's him. He admits what he did was wrong. He knows he's been selfish. He couldn't move on. He dug himself this grave. He's not going to force us to leave or to stay. But well, it's time to decide. Are you serious? You never cared about me for a second, did you? This all started because of you? And now you want to leave me? Just kidding. So what if this is how it all ends? Almost time to say goodbye. Got anything to say? I do. Yui, I bought you some bear-shaped cookies. They're in the fridge. Remember to eat them. We set him free. He's moved on. This dream is over. After waking up to complete the promise he made to her, he tried his best to become a better person. He got a new job and life. He met new people, saw new things. His life may be getting better every day, but she's not with him anymore. This is purgatory. After he left, this is all that was left. Have a Nice Dream is one of, if not the greatest stories-driven game I've played. But with its short playtime, it tugged on my heartstrings much more than I expected. But just because this game is over doesn't mean the story is. There's still quite a bit more to talk about. Much like Firewatch, with Henry running from his loss, physically, by entering the Wyoming wilderness. In Have a Nice Dream, he runs from loss by not accepting her death and reviving her in this fake digital world. But there's more to this character, as we see this man go through all 5 stages of grief. Denial, when he created this fantasy world to bring her back. Anger, when he tries desperately to stop us from leaving, even threatening Yui. Bargaining, when he pleads with Yui and tries to reason with us, the player. Depression, when he finally tells us what happened to Yui and breaks down. Acceptance, in the finale, when he realizes he can't keep her soul trapped anymore. Now, I could be reading into it too deeply, but this game seems to be truly about a man who lost a loved one and couldn't move on. Until, through either friends, family, or divine intervention, represented by the red text, he finally does. Grief does not have any easy, comfortable, or quick solutions. Much like Henry, or the man from Have a Nice Dream, it may be easier in the short term just to push away these emotions and try to run. But running is a fool's errand, and no matter where you go, it will catch up and crash over you like a tidal wave. But if you take that wave head on and tackle it, it's easier to get through. Games like these remind us that holding on can be its own form of loss, and that in letting go, we sometimes find not an ending, but the beginning of something honest, human, and new. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Join the Discord, like and subscribe. Love y'all. Peace.